Now, one of the major obstacles that you might find while trying to gain access to a network is if the network does not broadcast its name, so if the network is hidden. If the network is hidden, then you won't be able to connect to the network even if it does not use any password. And if it uses a password, then you won't be able to use the attacks that we're gonna talk about in future lectures. So you literally won't be able to do anything until you know the name of the network. So just to show you an example here, I have my own network and I've set it to be hidden. So I checked this box which says mask SSID. Now this could be called something else for you again, but for me that's the name of it. And I've called the network test AP. So the network actually has a name, but it just doesn't broadcast the name in the air. I've also set the network to not to use any security, so people can connect as long as they know the network name. So if we go here on the Windows machine, I just want to show you an example. If we go on Wi-Fi networks, you'll see that there is a hidden network around us. But if we try to connect to this hidden network, if I click on it and click on connect, the first thing that it's going to ask me is to enter the name of the network. Therefore, we can't actually connect to it if we don't know its name. And if the network is using encryption, so if it's using a password for the network, then we won't be able to launch the Kraken attacks if we don't know the name. So if your target network is hidden, the first step is always to try and determine the name of that network, regardless of whether it uses encryption, if it uses a password, or if it does not use a password. So in this lecture, I'm going to cover how to determine the name of hidden networks and how to connect to the network. Now I'm going to go to my Kali machine and I'm going to run aerodump-ng on my wireless card in monitor mode. So we did this before. All I do is aerodump-ng and then I put the name of the wireless card, which is mon0. And if I hit enter, as you can see, I can see all my networks around me. And we can see the hidden network around us. And the hidden network is actually this one. So you can see that we can actually get all the information of that network. So we can get its MAC address, we can see its distance, we can see the beacons, we can see the data if there was a lot of data sent. We can see the encryption. So in our case, it's open, it's not using encryption. But if it was using encryption, then you'll see it uses WIP or WPA or whatever it's using. The only thing that's hidden is the name of the network. So you can see in here, we actually don't have the name of the network. So basically, when a network is configured to be hidden, it only hides the network name, but it's still broadcasting its existence. It's still telling all the devices around it that I exist. My MAC address is this, my channel is this, and it's giving all the information except the name. And basically what it's saying is, if you know my name, then you can connect to me. So what we're going to do now is we're going to run aerodump-ng against this specific network because that's our target. And we've done this in previous lectures again, but I'm just going to do it real quick here. So I'm going to copy its MAC address and I'm going to run aerodump-ng. And I'm going to specify the BSSID of the target network, which is the MAC address. And then I'm going to specify the channel, which is 6 for this target network. And then I'm going to give it my wireless card in monitor mode, which is mon0. So again, we ran this command a lot of times. It's aerodump-ng. We're giving it the MAC address of the target network, and then we're giving it the channel, which is 6, and then we give it the wireless card name in monitor mode. I'm gonna hit enter, and you can see now aerodump-ng is running against this specific network. Now, in many cases, if the target network is a bit active, you'll actually be able to get the name of it simply by running aerodump-ng against it. In our case, we can see that the network is not active, so aerodump-ng is not able to determine its name. But what we can also see is we can see that there is a client connected to the network right here, because we said the second section of aerodump-ng show us the connected devices. So we can see that there is a device connected to this network, and the device has this MAC address. So what we're going to do now is we're going to use a deauthentication attack like we did it before, and we're going to disconnect this device from this network. But the difference is we're actually going to disconnect it for a very short period of time so that it automatically reconnects to the target network. And when it does that, it's going to send the network name in the air. Since we have aerodump-ng running, it will be able to capture that name and it'll show it to us here, and then we'll know the name of the network. So again, the attack is going to be very simple. All we're going to do is we're going to do a deauthentication attack for a very short period of time. That's going to disconnect the target device for a split second, so they won't even feel it. And the operating system will automatically connect back to the network. When it does that, it's going to send the network name in the air, and we're sniffing on that channel, so we'll be able to capture that name and we'll know the network name. So I'm going to split the screen. And we've actually run this attack before, so I'm just going to do it here again, and it'll be a chance for you to revise it. So we're going to do a replay ng deauth, and then we're going to put the MAC address of the target network after the A argument. And then I'm going to do -C, and then I'll give the MAC address of the client that I want to disconnect, and it's this one right here. And finally, I'm going to put the name of the wireless card in monitor mode, which is Mon0. Now, I actually forgot to specify the number of deauthentication packets to send. In the previous videos, we actually used a really big number in here so that we can keep the target computer disconnected for as long as possible. In this video, we actually want them to be disconnected for a split second, so I'm going to use 4 packets. Usually 2 is sufficient, but I'm just going to use 4 just to make sure that the target device will get disconnected. So because we're using a very small number, it'll be disconnected for a very short period of time, and the target person who is using that network will not even feel that. So the same command that we did before, nothing's different. Replay ng, we're doing a deauthentication attack, and we're using a very small number of packets because we don't want the target person to feel that they got disconnected. We gave the MAC address of the target network after the A option, and then we gave the MAC address of the client that we want to disconnect after the C option. I'm going to hit enter. And as you can see, nearly after sending 2 packets, we were able to determine the name of the network. So right here in arrow-ng, it's telling us that the name of the network is test AP. And now, if the network is open, like in our case, we can just go ahead and connect to that network. Or if the network is using encryption, like WIP, WPA, or WPA2, then we actually know the name of the network now, and you'll be able to launch the attacks that you're going to learn in the next lectures against that network and then determine its key. So the attack was very simple. All we had to do is run arrow-ng against our specific target network and then deauthenticate one of the clients for a very short period of time, and they'll automatically get connected to the network. When they do that, we'll know the network name.